Craig, how are you?
Good. How are things?
Hey, I like your background there. Almost as remote as my location right here.
Yeah, my office is a little cluttered in the background, so I'm lazy. We got a couple people today. Like I said, we had 30 join. We've got like 3. So Ed, we'll start out with Ed. Ed, introduce yourself.
Yes, go ahead, Ed.
To the group.
All right. Sure. Hi, I'm Ed. I've known Craig for a long time, various user groups, dating all the way back to Elgin SharePoint user group, then to SharePoint Saturday. So
we're talking 10 years ago.
Yeah, long time. So my current role is more delivery management than Power Platform. I've been meaning to join one of these sessions for a while now. So work today, so that's why I'm here.
Cool. Wonderful.
Gary, do you want to say hi? I know you're from New Zealand. And you've joined. You're a frequent flyer.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. I used to run a SharePoint user group down here many years ago in Christchurch, in New Zealand, in the good old days when we could meet in people and share beers. Yeah, but now I'm just transitioning to a new job, actually, to be a product specialist in an energy company down here. So I think the sort of stuff I'll be doing is trying to persuade people to use more of the Power Platform. So this will be a really good session, I reckon.
There we go.
Cool. Thank you. And Fernando.
Bienvenido, Fernando. You can come off mute and say hello to the audience.
Hi, hello. From Puebla, Mexico.
Wow.
28 degrees Celsius here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We're jealous. The groundhog is on witness protection right now here in Chicago. So
it isn't bad today. It's warm and rainy.
Well, yeah. For today.
There was snowing yesterday, so so I guess
if
you want to go to the next slide, Ralph?
Yeah, sure. Let's so it looks like we have everyone for today. It's a small audience, but that's okay because everyone's probably going to stream this later on. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, I know we get a lot of people watching the recordings, actually,
Absolutely.
which surprises me.
Yes.
You took out our introduction. So I'm Craig Jenke. I work for Microsoft. Used to work with Ed years ago at Sagetti. Ralph currently works at Sagetti. I've been doing everything for a long time now, for SharePoint and then M365 and the Power Platform for a few years now. And kind of me and Ralph and a couple other people kicked this off about 3 years ago. And we were doing it virtual with a live presence. Hopefully, I'm thinking actually next, at the end of April, Ralph, I might host it from the Aon Center again. So we'll see.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
But that's it. That's me. And then Ralph, I'll let you.
All right. Ralph Rivas, a National Solutions Architect at Sagetti USA, out of the corporate division. Since I was last here, what has happened since we were last here? We did Admin in an Hour, which turned out to be actually pretty popular. In fact, Admin in an Hour, you're going to see the version on the Scottish Summit is going to have a version of it in June, and it's my bad Scottish accent.
Yeah, that was a horrible Scottish accent.
It's Scottish some way, but I want to get there because I feel tartan, and it's going to be wonderful. It'll always be the latest version of what it is. The cool thing about admin stuff with the Power Platform is literally every month something's different. So I can actually give the course practically every month. So that's happening. But since then, I also became an MVP. In January. That happened. That's helpful. I have information. Unfortunately, it means I have information I can't talk about.
Yeah, so it's going out this week.
Yes.
So
I guess
without divulging anything, was there anything in there that you thought was cool that they've told you?
So interestingly enough, because I'm with Sagetti and we're a huge partner, I got all that information that they're talking about now a couple of weeks ago at the partner conference version of it. Literally every single thing. So I'm like, oh, so the partners got it first this time around. Sometimes the MVPs get it before the partners, but this time I happened to catch it on the inside. There is extremely interesting stuff coming in, big plays and all this good stuff. Here's the thing: be satisfied with the roadmap that's out there right now, because that's got enough for you to be busy with. The stuff that's coming out later, as I say, Dinafash, don't worry about it for now. Wait, it's going to come. It's going to hit you. You're going to love it. It's all going to
Is
be
that
good
going
stuff.
to, so again, without getting into too much, is that going to fall into admin stuff or creator stuff?
Everyone's affected. Everyone's affected. So
I know a little bit about what's out there. I just want to tease you.
yes. So there's the teaser. The teaser is everyone's affected, and don't worry, we will have it here first as soon as we're given the release for it, and we will have all the information. But what's good about it though is that both of us are going to, let's just say, be immersed enough to actually talk intelligently about it. So that's cool.
Yes. So
all right. Meanwhile, back in the ranch. So we did this already. We did us. We did who's here. We did who's on the line.
Naveen just joined. I don't know if we want to.
Naveen, did you want to say hi, everyone, before we start our session? And at least let your boss know you're here so you get credit.
Hey, everyone.
Naveen, hi.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from DC. I'm from what?
We've got some people out in DC. We've got friends out there.
Oh, yes. We have friends in high places.
Cool.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining. It's a very international group today. We're all over. Yeah. Go ahead, Craig, take this one.
So we're creating a new user group. If you found it, actually, you should have probably found the link to this. So if you're here in this meeting, then you've already found this. We have a meetup user group, but we're being encouraged to roll into the new platform that Microsoft's created, and it's free, whereas Meetup costs like, I can't even remember what it's up to, like $60 a quarter now, maybe a little bit higher than that, which has been coming out of my pocket and some other funds. So I'm getting tired of paying for it. So we're trying to take the free version and do the Microsoft way and make the people there happy, certain people. So if you found it, also, if you're interested in other user groups, we're actually found under the Power Platform user group. But if you're looking specifically for Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, if you go to powerusers.microsoft.com, you should be able to find the user group that fits your needs. And we've got Gary here from New Zealand. We've got Fernando from Mexico. Somebody from DC. So just obviously outside of Chicago. Usually we have somebody from Vancouver. I have often joined the Vancouver user group and the Washington. So the nice thing is there's people all over the world that you can join if they see the groups and without actually having to travel there. Everybody's doing it virtual. So
true. We may go hybrid again. At least for the folks that hybrid, it'll encourage the folks looking for pizza in Chicago to come and do the pizza thing, because that's what we did before, and I can't wait.
So we have always had a hybrid approach. Either we've always had the team meeting, and we've done live at either the Aon Center in Chicago where Microsoft is, or the satellite office out in Downers Grove, which is closer to my house, which makes it a little bit easier. But we shall see.
We shall see, indeed. All right, let me move on over here. Hey, so this is coming up in case you haven't been reminded of it every time you seem to click on something. The business app launch fest. Tell us about it, Mr. Craig.
So this is going to be Wednesday, April 6th from 9 to 10:30, and Charles Lamanna is going to talk about Power Platform and Dynamics 365 stuff. He is going to actually be at the conference. It used to be the SharePoint National Conference, but they changed it now.
M365 Collab, I think, the one in Vegas.
Yeah, the Collab conference in Vegas. So that's going to be next week. He's got a keynote speaking there. Jeff Teeper will be doing a keynote speaking there. Caruana will be doing a keynote speaker there from Teams. So I'm thinking a lot of the announcements that me and Ralph have been alluding to are going to be coming out next week.
Yes, most of them, not all, but most.
Not
of them,
all, but quite a few ones. So
yes,
look for a lot of news on the blogs shortly after that. If you can't send you that.
Yeah, we're biting our lips for those announcements to come out.
And this one's a virtual one, so you can attend that online. But the conference in Vegas is also going on.
It stays in Vegas.
Yes.
All right. Hey, without further ado, or as though, we can get ahead with our presentation today. Basically, how to make your organization love the Power Platform like you do. Just an idea. This was inspired by all the documentation that they've been putting out. The Power Cat team, the customer advisory team, has been putting out lately. Adoption, nurture docs, all that stuff. I think I alluded to that in the admin in an hour and a few of the other places before. But based on all that and based on all the things that we've been doing, at least I've been doing a lot lately, we said, hey, you know what? This is actually great material for folks to get out there, because one of the things when we were attending these conferences or these meetings, and we're getting to learn it, we're getting to make things happen, but we're finding out that when there's more people doing what we do, it becomes, well, if not more fun, let's just say easier to find help between ourselves, right? So how do we do it? We just have to spread the love, and that's what this is all about. So really quickly, for the folks that pretty much out there on the web, for the folks that are here, they pretty much know a lot of this information. But who am I again? Well, I did say Ralph Rivas, National Solutions Architect. The MVP piece is now in there. I do also a podcast, the cloudtalkshow.com, one of the OTSN podcasts. Craig does the other one for Teams, and this one is on the cloud in general. There was a MS Cloud podcast with Andrew Cottle stuff that just finished. So big shout out to Andrew and company for that one that actually we're going to miss heavily. After all, everything we're doing is in the cloud at the end of the day. All right. We always say, like in our AMAs at the end, it's like, hey, if you want to have any questions about licensing and everything else. And the joke there is because I was the guy who actually created the original license document for the community. It's been pulled down because Microsoft finally got their act together and actually put the pieces in place. But I'm the guy, so if you literally have a licensing question today, frankly, hit me up, because this is your chance to get the answer outside of Microsoft. All right. Let's just keep going here. All right, here's our agenda today. We basically have to first figure out, where do you start to make your org love this stuff? And we just talk about where that point is. Essentially, we're going to introduce the Power Platform, or at least show you how to introduce the Power Platform in this case. In some cases, like, hey, it's already there. What am I introducing? Well, you're introducing the Power Platform from your point of view, and this is most important. And then we're going to look at the Creator Journey PDF, that one really masterful document that came out recently that really has all the pieces in place. It's sort of like, it's a good document and a bad document, and I'll explain why later on. Then we'll have our AMA, Ask Me Anything, at the end. So what's first? We need to assess our place. We need to figure out the state of Power Platform in your organization. If you're going to go out in the organization and start spreading the word, it's best not to come into the case of, well, I just want to go in and talk about Power Platform. I was like, what, Power Platform? We know all about that. What are you talking about? Or we don't know nothing. What's going on? Or your IT saying, Shixnay and the Power Platform name. It could be one of those. So ways to do it. You can eyeball it. Just basically take a look. Okay, what's going on? What do you see? What is your view? I go into make. I notice I can't go into Power Automate. I can see the admin, but I can't see this environment. In other words, you'll have a general idea of your point of view. And this is important, because your point of view, chances are, is the same point of view as a lot of others, unless you are the actual administrator or anything else. And in fact, that's important to know. You will see something different. So this is the first thing to do. Or you can formally assess it. And it has this concept of the maturity model. You might have heard of this. This is the adoption maturity model, is similar to what they have for M365. The idea is you can follow this pattern that's given in this link over here and do this assessment yourself, do it yourself. The Power Cat team used to actually do that for large clients, but I mean, at scale, this is really hard to do. They only have so many folks. They have a lot of things to do, like the COE and everything else. So now partners are big at getting these done. And actually, not just partners, a whole bunch of other companies have gone and taken this and have made it their own offerings to actually do assessments. So you can do this yourself, what's your choice, or find a partner or another company to do the assessment for you or work with you. The idea over here is to get that metric that tells you where you're at and what needs to be done. Very, very useful. You don't have to be IT to request this, but IT, of course, is the one that benefits most about knowing where this happens. So that's the other way. Or here's the thing. You're so locked down, there's only very little you can do, but you want to spread the love. Well, Well, how do you do it? Get yourself a Dev Tenant. Come to the Dev program. We talk about this quite often. Get your own Dev Tenant. You basically have an M365 E5 client tenant with 25 users, all the power of the battle station ready to go.
It's not 25 users anymore.
Oh, it's more?
No, it's less. They actually they've stripped it back. At least the last time I did it, you don't get the full tenant. You kind of get assigned. It's almost like a demo tenant. It's a little bit different experience. It's still the tenant with I think they only give you 20 users. It's a little bit different than what it used to be.
20 to 25. Okay, well, so they took away 5 users from you.
Yeah, and it, like before, when you go to line up, it would ask you what you wanted to use for the tenant name.
Yep.
This one is assigned a tenant name to me. So.
Well, actually, they always assign a tenant. Oh, I see. That's right. They gave you the choice before to give you a name. So now they're assigning.
Put in like just a random number to the tenant. I assume you can still attach a URL to it, but I have not played with it that far.
Right. Well, that's interesting. So very interesting.
It is not the exact same experience, probably because they're getting too many requests for it. Because we've been, I don't know if anybody else is, but we have been pushing it out pretty hard.
You know what? We should deep dive that one in a different session. But that's interesting that you're telling me this now. But the thing is, of course, I've had several tenants already done as late as last January was the last time I created a tenant from scratch.
This was February, so. I am actually going to do, because I've been meaning to do it, a tutorial video on setting it up.
All right. I hope to see that posted on our website, maybe. Yes.
I will try to do it by the end of the week.
All right. Then, well, no rush.
Not by the end of the month. The end of the month is tomorrow. So, okay, right. Sorry.
Take your time. All right. But this is important, though. Here, at the end of the day, whether it's 20 users, 25, however it is, the concept of the Dev Tenant, the Dev Tenant is to have all the pieces that you need to basically go through and show anything and everything. If you are the administrator, you have all the power, so it's easier to show things. So here's the thing.
Says he can't turn on video in his tenant, which is interesting, because this is a Dev Tenant we're running this off of.
Yes, it is.
This is a Dev Tenant I've had for 3 years, though.
So. Well, yeah. So mine is grandfathered in. We should really investigate this one in entirety. So we're going to make a note and follow through with that. But otherwise, again, if you saw the previous solutions, obviously do it in your organization's tenant to make it happen. Is the first way.
If they continue to function like they have, though, as I said, as long as you're still using it, it will automatically renew. I've had this tenant for the better part of 3 years or more. And I even assigned because it's like m365.com. So I went out and got a vanity URL, assigned it to it, and they treat it pretty much like it's a regular tenant, as long as they don't suspect that you're doing like full-on business in it.
They have ways of telling. They have metrics and other things that watch, and they can tell how it's being used and how it's not being used. Like if you let it sit there and nothing happens for a long time, you can say goodbye to it. They'll know it. So I keep it busy, because you can see here, just doing presentations and stuff to do this, it keeps busy enough. I do get renewed, so that helps. And of course, every time you want to learn something, do it in your Dev Tenant before you do it somewhere else. That'll make sure that it's got traffic of some sort.
The best part about it is that you have the admin feature, so there's no asking anybody if you can do anything. As long as you can Google how to do it and go into the admin and give yourself permission, you're good.
Right. Join some of those like preview programs and stuff. Click on the preview features. Play. All right. Speaking of which, what is the step after you get to this? Here's what we have for this particular event, and this is to have an introductory session led by you. That is the way, if you want to make folks love it, especially you have to be the evangelist. You have to get out there and make it happen. This is ultimately how you would get that to happen. But now, what do? Do you copy one of the Microsoft presentations and just give it verbatim? Does that work? Well, yes, it could. But what we're going to give you over here is essentially a bit of a train the trainer, or elevating the evangelist very well, a little sample intro course you can actually use. We're going to make these slides available so you can go ahead and use them as is. Everything we have over here is public. It either came from Microsoft that you can download it directly, or it's stuff that's available in one way, shape, or form from somewhere else. We just simply put it together and we made sure that nothing in here is restricted for use. So you can go ahead and make your own flavor for things. In fact, that would be my advice. You take something and customize it. Never use the starter kit as is. Play with it, make it yours. All right. What's an agenda look like for this? An agenda looks like for this, you want to have an overview of what the Power Platform is when you're trying to explain it to folks. And here are the key pieces. You want to cover the big three: the Power Apps, Power Automate, and the Power Virtual Agents. Power BI, yes, let's look at that. Power BI is let's just say a proper member of the Power Platform community. If that's your focus, then absolutely include it there and put it in. For our purposes over here, we will skip that because that'll actually make this a lot longer to go through. But however, that's one of the good things that you want to include. All right, and you'll see how I deal with it in this particular session when we talk about it. But because a lot of things are different in it, this is why we keep these three together and treat Power BI on its own for now until eventually things come together. You want to talk about governance. When you're talking to folks about the platform, you're not so much trying to convince them that to necessarily use it. Sometimes you have to convince them that, like, well, it's okay to use it. All right, I'm not like giving you. I'm not sharing my secrets to using a weapon, for example. I'm going to explain the system, I'm going to show it to you and all this fun stuff, but I'm also going to show you how to be responsible in some cases. Now, the governance piece, we'll look at that, is going to be more limited because remember, you're coming from the user point of view, right? You're not coming in, we're not over here to sell to IT necessarily. You're at least getting them to think about it, right? And then, of course, you got to do some demos. Can't beat a demo. Picture is worth 1,000 words. Doing samples and actual work and playing with it. That's the killer. And then you give them next steps and you go. One of the things that we suggest in your presentation is to start off with motivation. This is a common motivation slide that we've seen out there. This is an old, actually I call it old because it's a lot of this from 2020, 2017, just telling everyone, hey, this is what's going to be happening with Power Apps over, with low code in general over the next few years. And in fact, a lot of this stuff has actually come true. So you want to it's nice to get the latest versions of these wherever they are, but for the most part, this is still being used. Feel free to use it. Other things, and so you want to put it together and you want to make it very clear that this is part of Dynamics 365. And I'll tell you why. It's not so much that because you're promoting Dynamics 365 in your area, whether or not you're using it. Just want to make it very clear that there's power that people are going to hear about being used with the Power Platform that are in that context. So if they see something and they say, well, there's that customer service system that someone was doing with Power Platform, it's like, well, okay, that's because that's Dynamics 365 in there. So do not fret that what you tried to do was not possible. Just know that this is the way you would frame and where this stuff is going to be and where to find it. So this is a nice slide for just giving the whole picture of all the pieces. And also because you're talking to other users and other business folks, this puts into context where it's being used, right? So they can find their place in this little area. A nice little thing to do is just walk through and find out what's the point of low code over here. And I like this slide. This business software is hard, and basically everyone's ever used it. Yes, we want to make we don't want to scare everyone over here. You're trying to get folks to be either citizen developers or to get the folks that are developers to understand it. No, we're not trying to make what you're doing look easy because this is going to be hard stuff regardless. All right, but here's what we want to point out in the case of Power Platform, that most people are not running the 747. Yes, the developer folks may be doing that, but that's not the case for everybody. People are more likely going to work like this. They're the folks. So we have the folks flying the planes, but we have the folks that are just trying to get somewhere, right? We have the folks that are okay, taking care of the folks that are trying to get somewhere. We have the folks that are just taking care of the pieces around it to make things go, right? So everybody essentially has a play when it comes to low code or apps. So essentially, we all need apps that work like we do. This is the whole point. You want to bring folks together, right?
Well,
so
there's a question in the chat.
Oh, chat. Go ahead. Answer the question because I don't have the chat handy.
Fernando says, do you want us to convince management to buy the Power Platform or use it if it is already installed?
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. M365, right? If there's M365 and you're in there and you're using it, it's already installed. The idea is you're trying to promote, how do we say, adoption, use, other people to use it. You're not convincing management necessarily to go buy it, all right? Because we're not promoting people necessarily get premium licenses or anything like that. In fact, maybe you're not talking to necessarily management alone. You want to let people know that if you have access to this, here's what it can do for you, because this is what it does for me, right? And that's what this is about. Right, so if you want to make the case for management, this could be the presentation to management. Hey, manager, you know that you have this already. Here's what you can do now with what we've got, what you've given me and everyone else the power to do. Well, here's what you're sitting on that you've turned off for everybody, but you've already paid for. And look how nice this is from this end. And you would take
so if you have an E3 license, it's included with it. So there are premium things and connectors, but primarily the simple stuff that you might want to do, like work with Outlook, work with SharePoint, work with lists, work with OneDrive, a planner, those kind of things. Those are all included with the E3 license. Things like making a call to a SQL Server or Azure Active Directory or running Azure Functions, those require premium licenses. So I would start with the simple, usually like a nice approval workflow, where you can maybe have a form on the front end of it for having people request time off or something like that, or put up new equipment, send it to a manager.
It's really easy stuff. Yes. So in this particular slide, in the example of how you use something like this, you try to explain to people, like, well, here's the thing. They're going to say, well, why can't you just use Excel to do that? Why can't you use SharePoint out of the box? We went online to use SharePoint and they have all these features. Why aren't you just using that? Well, we have to put into context. Some things cannot always be solved with out of box as it is. And custom development, remember, is expensive. Sometimes we need something. It's like, well, we can do it that way. Essentially, you have that missed opportunity of items to come in, and essentially where you can say, well, and in comes the Power Platform. Hey, this is, by the way, going to change soon, but we will not touch that. But I've actually added some of the one piece over here that is important. You might have seen this slide before, folks. The usual pantheon of the Power Platform gods here: Power BI, Power Apps, Automate, and you can see we actually have a way of calling them. Your BI for analyze, apps to act on something, automate to automate, and of course the PVA, the assistant, to come in here. What's key over here under the covers, you notice that we are talking about connectors, portals, the AI builder, and Dataverse. When we try to explain to folks what's in here, it's important to give them the big picture on what these pieces are. And notice that I put portals as its thing, because that's actually new. It's not exactly, it's been there for a while. Power Portals has been there as part of Power Apps, but right over here, it's sitting on its own because it's actually its own beast as of now. At some point, it will perhaps grow up and become part of the Pantheon. We'll see how that happens. Just putting that out there to keep it out there. So you start off, and the best way, like I said, we're going to focus on one. So here we're going to focus on Power Apps. And so very quickly, what is Power Apps? It allows you to build apps. Well, that's easy enough, right? Really quickly, just explain to them how it rapidly builds the mobile apps. You're showing pictures. This is a nice slide. You can walk through it, talk through it. I'm just going to go through some of these pretty fast because these are just samples you can just go through. Covering things like easy authoring, the WYSIWYG piece that's part of that. You want to always emphasize the connected data pieces, all that rich information that you can get to. A lot of it out of box without going premium. And that's something that's important to mention. To mention that something is cross-platform, they're going to say, well, we need our Windows machines and everything else. Make it very clear that this is built with the web and the mobile in mind. So it's a lot of these are first things. Things to also never alienate your pro developers. That you want to bring them in on early. If you're talking about them, you want to make sure that they're part of it, that there's a lot of extensibility and all these pieces are leveraging the power of Azure underneath the covers. Other things that, so you just basically get there and just go beyond those pieces over here. All right, then you can look into the Power Automate side. What is Power Automate? It just does things when something happens. That's the fastest way to explain what that's all about. When you're talking and helping people about Power Automate, one of the first things you want to talk about are the components, right? The fact that it starts with a trigger and is performing actions, the conditional logic or triggers for other workflows. Those are the concepts that you want to impart when you're going through. So here are just some of these samples, right? You're getting notifications, you're synchronizing, collecting data, you're doing approvals and all that stuff. Give them the, as they say, the quick use cases so it makes more sense. All right, and it's real easy to demonstrate and show all the connectors that are available. The Power Automate was the first one to actually show the connectors in a nice, better way versus Power Apps. I've imagined that those two interfaces might eventually look the same. It's good to mention what makes up a flow. That basically brings it around to explain where it goes. You want to understand the concepts of trigger and actions. If you already understand how that works, that's great. But those are the key concepts that you want to cover. Showing off the designer is really cool because it's essentially your WYSIWYG pieces. And we go into triggers. Why did we go into this in more detail? When you're going to Power Automate and describing it to folks, you do want to be very specific, because here's where people get tripped up and get angry with the licensing and everything else, because the trigger is the lever of whether or not something is going to need a license or not a license, or whether something can be done, can't be done, a lot of these things. So this is the stuff we don't skip. So we have some detail over here that you can use to explain how it works, right? So if you understand how triggers and actions work, and from that, everything can be described. Literally from those two concepts is the rest of Power Automate. On the virtual agent side, it's just very straight. It's very how do we put it here? It's a bit of a premium type of product to use. However, because now you can get it in Teams out of box, you're going to very likely see this happen more and more. And here's the thing: if you're not really playing with it yourself, you probably want to do that just to get used to it, because it's actually very compelling. You're engaging with people and employees to talk conversationally. The concept of creating something, hey, look, Mom, no hands, no code. I'm actually making something that used to take massive amounts of code to do. An example, and you can walk them through an example. Well, here's what a chat looks like. So you understand how this product works. Oh, pardon me, let me get a coffee. You have to give it to them in these terms. Or rather, not have to, but this is one of the best ways to describe how the chat system works. And then, of course, you'd show the interface to see how no codish it actually is. AI driven and everything else. All the cool pieces that are in there. So you can walk through it, or you can just make it easier. You can actually just do the demo to make it straight, or use these images and slides to give the overview. All right, and the fact, again, remember those pro devs, always remind them that yes, this can be extended. The bot framework is there to help you. And these are just more examples of the bot framework in action. Then after you focus on the big folks on top, that's when you come down to the data connectors. Or rather, data connectors, I should say, the support sources. All right. All right, so now a quick word about governance. All right, now here's the thing. Governance is a beast to itself. The admin in an hour explained that just going through that, it's almost like its own subject, its own topic. You want to go through it. So we want to explain that the case of a Power Platform, why should we let you play with the Power Platform? Because after all, Power Platform's like giving you MS Access. It's the freaking Wild West. Oh my gosh, it's like shootouts. People writing code, getting permissions to this and that, and leaking data here left and right. Oh my gosh, it's chaos, or it's the Wild West, right? The idea over here is the Power Platform. We have to make it very clear. The tools are available to take control of it. So instead of the Wild West, you actually have Westworld minus the robot revolution. All right. The idea over here is for the folks that are listening to this, you're not going to give them a lesson in governance or a lesson in the administration or the admin centers or everything else. That's not necessary. What you do want to explain is that the Power Platform is great when governance is applied. Otherwise, yes, we agree with you. It is the Wild West. It's like me giving you access and saying, have at it and have all the things you can do. But the idea over here also, when you're talking to management, it's like, well, we'd love to use this. We'd like to do it more. However, we will need to cooperate if we want to really keep it under control, so that there can be shootouts during the day, but reset and you can have the shootouts tomorrow, and everyone is all just doing what they're doing and having essentially their business needs satisfied. All right, then you follow through with demos. Some of the demo things you should do, you should show the maker experience, show solutions, showing the difference between Canvas versus model apps, you know, the little what the app looks like in mobile, maybe the flow templates, Quickie creates. You can do the A model or as a teaser, PVA, you can tease all that stuff. If you have the COE handy, show off some of the screens from there. It's actually pretty cool. It's just an example for the demos. And before we actually, we're going to just walk through a few of those and take a look at it. Let's take a look at the this creator journey document resource, because this is actually really cool. We have a link over here. If you go to aka.ms/powerapp/SCSM is the creator manual. So we're going to do a little walkthrough on that guy. Let's see if I have it handy over here. Handy. Here we go, coming up. Open. Where did it open? It's opening it. Stand by. Huh. Where did it go? How about I just click on it? Nope, it doesn't let me do that. Fine. All right, then. Let me go get it one more time. Hello, PDF. Was looking good here just a moment ago, but it's hiding. Oh, I see. So I have it here in the PDF file, and it's not loading for some reason. Come on, there it is. Oh, wow, this is not good. Hang on a second, this was working. Here we go. All right. Now it's working. We'll get there one way or the other. Let me walk you through this document. This will be essentially your guide to going through the rest. That little presentation I gave you is useful for actually doing the presentation part. So that's your teaser on this end. And we can walk through some of the demos that you could do from there. But for now, this is the thing that this is the beauty that has really inspired a lot of it. All right, you are the creator. This is you. They have a document like this called Nurture and Adoption. This is from the IT or the management top-down sort of view. There's a fellow by the name of Alan Chai who is with Schlumberger, a humongous company. All right, and it's from the user level that they came and brought Power Platform up to the top and all over the organization. Do a lookup on him and you'll see what we mean. He's an MVP, and for a very good reason. And this is essentially inspired by that. You are the creator. Your Power Apps is a journey, and it's your journey. And they go through this concept of the ready, set, go. Essentially, you're getting your culture. This is almost like the pieces I showed you over here. And it gives you literally a step-by-step and notes of all the things you're going to cover. All right. It gives you, again, the motivation pieces. There's that motivation piece that's right over here. And a bit of a checklist and where you're going to go. It tells you how to describe, it gives you, like, say, the talking points for the citizen developer and the pro developer and the digital transformation essentially that's going to be going on. All right. And then, of course, it looks at, in this particular case, all of the big four. And anything that gets added, there may be additions to this. We'll take a look. Hey, remember these guys? There they are. Hey, I came up with that portals, and look, they came up with this too. I didn't put portals in there, by the way, because it showed up over here. I had that before, and sure enough, when this document came out, wow, somebody was thinking it the same way. Because, I mean, look at that. They're still calling it Common Data Service, Dataverse. All right. And here we go. And you can use these as slides instead. It's like, okay, if I'm making with Power Apps, what is it? This is actually a nice one over here. What will you make? All right, that's a good one. Ready, set, go. Again, your first few apps, mission critical. This is your journey. So you follow that. You use this for yourself. You can use this to inspire, but this is where it starts. All right. And as you can see, it's giving you like definite stages of instruction to follow. All right, tells you about bringing in the people. Oh, okay. So here's the thing. If you become the champion for the group, you're the one that's really pushing it out. This actually helps you gather your forces. So in the case of Alan Chai, he was like a, well, he is actually like at a high enough level in management and to works to have folks with him. In this particular case, he tries to bring others of like mind and of like ilk together. Why are you evangelizing? You want to try to find others that are doing what you're doing, especially if they're in your organization. Because doing it alone, that's great, it's powerful, it's heroic, but it's, let's just say, more effective when you are a team or you're a group and you are essentially the Avengers, assembling, as opposed to you yourself being the one lone superhero. All right. Some of the trainings that go on that you can actually do on your, actually you can roll your own app in a day trainings, or you can use what's in Microsoft or follow one of the training courses that are out there that you've seen every day. The recommendation is to attend an app in a day training so you yourself are fresh with at least all the pieces that you don't normally use on a day-to-day basis. Admin of the day, if you intend to be the person that runs things, or if you want to talk to the people that run things, you want to explain that there is admin of the day and there's a way to do it. You can actually get them from here, or again, send them to things like our admin an hour and these other courses. Getting sponsorship. Hey, it actually gives you some information on how to do this. Check it out. A little checklist to fill out. Who's in your dream team? Who do we need to get buy-in from? Consider a project, what to do. I mean, this literally, this is some of their ways of coming up and let's just say envisioning how to get a product out from something and into something else. You follow the same concepts that we would do for actual solutions, and you would use Power Platform. So they give you some of their design ideas and tools, and they give you like some of the terminology like MVP, the minimal viable product. So you communicate this information to folks. All right, so there's the platform going through. It talks about process, about the digital guardrails. We talked about that governance piece. Essentially, if you're going out and says, well, we're going to do this, they're like, well, how do I know you're going to be safe? Hey, mom and dad, I'm going to take the car out tonight. Really? Why should I trust you with that? Well, because I'm a good driver and I'm following all these rules and I have my cell phone and I make sure that it's all connected and I'm never turning it off. And here's my location tracker. It's all going, okay, whatever you needed to do, you're following the rules. If you understand how those rules work, you're talking the language of the IT folks for their concerns. That's what this is about. Right, and it's suggesting using Teams itself as a way of getting around. Remember, we talked about that organization. There's your guardrails again, and there's your checklist. Gives you checklist. Hey, we're only half through. That's just the ready part. And when you're set and you got all that going, you're following through again with the people. They're giving you an idea as how do you move things across the organization. You've just been tasked. Hey, we love this Power Platform stuff. Well, hey, your what you've done has really made us see the light, and we want you in charge of it. Well, they give you actually the tools to figure that out. What you need to do: lunch and learns, app showcases, how to do hackathons. There's even actually do-it-yourself hackathon kit that you can actually download to actually do. Partners and Microsoft and everyone else will help you do this, and you can sort of do it for some funding and everything else. But again, all the tooling is here. They just give you the pieces. Check it out. Again, just fill out the blanks. Set your team. There's the project. This is really cool. If anyone's already looking at this document, you're probably going ahead of me and just seeing some of these pieces. Notice it repeats the same areas. It's rinse repeat for some of these processes. Just explaining how you would do an assessment. The same things that you would actually potentially hire an outside consultant or partner to do. These are things that you can do from the onset. And the idea is, like, even if you end up being too busy and you have to get someone else to do it, having that context of what they are going to be doing, because all the partners and anyone that's doing things in the Microsoft way will be following essentially the same pattern. There might be a variation depending on what their specialty might be, their value add, as they say. But for the most part, everyone is going to be following a lot of these same checks and the same pieces that are in here. And here we go. They have the go piece. Once you get going and you're ready to get things going, how do you develop your skills? You give them all the tools, what the teams look like. You're giving them all the pieces to essentially bring these folks together. What kind of project is needed, the kind of platform you need to get going, At this point, in the advanced areas where like, wow, if you convince them to get this far, maybe they'll fork over a few bucks to take you to the next level with AI Builder and some of the other pieces. That's why you notice that they didn't mention anything about this until later, because these are still premium-y things to ask for. But you don't ask for premium until you can prove that the out-of-box is worthy of taking you further. So they just give you all the tools and try to take it further. And they're talking about the center of excellence over here. Center of excellence as driven from the business over here. That governance piece that I talked about, and where we just said Wild West versus the West world, this is now where you would take this and take that detail further. And you notice this doesn't come till later. If it's coming from top down, hopefully they're coming with that center of excellence as the early stage of something that's happening. But if not, if you're trying to get this to roll itself up, don't expect to see this happening until later on in the journey, which means there's probably going to be stuff sitting out there all over the place before you have a chance to rein it in. But thank God, with a lot of these tools, once you get there and you see that big picture, it's not very hard to apply these and bring back order. Here we go. And that is a very quick look at that particular document. That's a huge one. Is everyone able to get the document, or you need to be able to get it? Do we need to help get some folks out there to get that that link? The SCSM piece. Something tells me we can do that without the problem. So that's our little walkthrough. We'll do it. Ask me anything, but before we do that, just an idea of some of the tools you can do. The app in a day courses, you can actually download them. If you follow MicrosoftLearn.com, and as you go through it, every so often as you're learning on your own, there's things you can download and play for yourself. And they say create your own trial environment and play and everything else. Those are some of the best tools to use for samples. So let's see, do I have it? Yes, I do have it over here. So for example, on the Power App side, over here, let me make sure I'm in my environment. Yes, I'm in my environment over here. Let me go see if I can find the sample app over here. Yes, so something like, for example, this is the app in the day piece. When you're showing off what the apps can do, right? And then you're showing off, well, here's a case of an ordering application and how it works. Just going through the process of how this works, or like just opening it up. Let's go in edit mode. See all the neat changes. If you haven't looked at these in a little while, come back and check it out. Because every so often the interface will change. And you'll notice like even the slides from Microsoft that go through the walkthroughs of this in Learn and everything else are sometimes they're out of date. They just haven't had a chance to update the pictures. So it's always good to get your own fresh versions of where things are, because things move around, they move your cheese, and it's always a good idea not to be surprised when you're trying to show how things work. But in the case of the Power Apps over here, let's take a look, for example, let's go to settings. Right, so something that's slightly different that you want to check on and keep up to date on is all these upcoming features. What's new, what's out there, the things that you can try out. Take a look at what experimental to play, what can be compelling, perhaps. And this is something that's I like now. Retired tells you what's going away. All right, and notice I still have some stuff that's still on over here because it's been a while since I had a chance to take a look at. You want to keep up with these pieces as best you can. The best evangelist is the knowledgeable evangelist. Doesn't get surprised because you'll have users that are going to come at you and say, oh, what about that? That doesn't work. I tried that and stuff. Best not to be surprised. You want to be rehearsed a little bit, play with it. Just go through it, as they say. Just step through it as quickly. You can do it as quickly as I did, just to make sure that you have the pieces and follow through with it. The app in a day pieces and the stuff that's in Learn are step-by-step instructions, literally, on how they work. In some cases, they got videos. Follow them. Very, very easy to use. And they don't always follow.
I built this thing several times.
Yeah, you probably memorize some of the pieces that go into this one over here. And then, of course, the most compelling thing is at the end, when you actually demonstrate it and you're doing, hey, let's take a look at this. Let's compare these two items. Hey, and I do my justification. What's really cool, it goes through the app in a day. It's great because it has the app. It's got a Power Automate. It's got a Dataverse. It's got all the 3 core pieces in there. So you get to see emails coming in and out, approvals, you know, especially for managers, when they see you put this together in what, like 30 minutes, 40 minutes time, they were like, well, wow, that is compelling. That is really good. If you think about, you can like challenge a dev. I dare you to do this in SPFX. And tell me how long, if you were to do it, and how many resources do you need to actually build what all this app does? And here's the requirements. Just list them out. Let them give you a number of points, as they like to say in our agile terms, or how many hours or how much. Give them a total. They're going to be able to see the difference just from that. So it's really, really cute. A lot of these things are you can just download and have fun with yourself. And you do that with Power Apps, do that with Power Automate. Let's go see if I can find an Automate on here.
To be fair, this would take more than 40 minutes to do this app with the Power Apps built into it in the request form.
Yes. So
just saying.
Yeah, this is more than 50 minutes, but it'll take you 40 minutes to talk about it, to walk through it. All right. The actual building itself, if you were to designing this from scratch, absolutely, it'll take more than that. The idea, though, is remember when you have something that's set up, especially when you have pieces that are ready to do, these are reusable pieces, right? Following those paradigms, you can come together and come up with apps in fairly short order, right? And let's talk about that. Coming up with an app in 2 seconds. Let's go back to Maker for a moment. All right. Something that we like to demonstrate is when you go to new apps and you go straight up to pick something fast like this, right? Or the other ones when you go home. And I like this one. If you want to really do a compelling app straight up, just go ahead and pick up a SharePoint app like this. Right? Find a site that you have that you've been doing over and over, like that. Pick a list, go over there, connect to it. Let the Cylon think about it. Baby Skynet having some yummies. One moment. See a preview of this app? Sure. Look at that. Just follow through. Just letting someone see this. Oh, look at this. I already have an app that I can do editing on. I can make changes. I have an app. I can produce this app. I'm done. What did that take me to get there? All right. Now I can play with it. I can make my edits, my updates. But out of the box, I literally took that fancy SharePoint list and I created it in an app. And all I have to do is just go back and I can save it. I could share it. I could publish it. I could put it on a SharePoint site, and I'm done. And that, what was that? How long did that take, Craig, to get me to this far? That was like minutes. Minutes.
Hey, Fernando asked if the labs are more rounded solutions or more organizational ones, or are they just small personal problems?
So the way the labs work, they're complete. They're solutions. You know what's cool about the labs is they come with zip files that you can upload. So, like for example, Lab 1 says create the app. Oh my gosh, I don't want to. I had problems creating Lab 1. Let me upload the zip of Lab 1. In other words, just like deploying an app, you bring it in. It's the zip of the solution. It all gets installed, and you get to see what it's supposed to look like when it's done properly. All right. So they're personal because I'm just here in my environment right now doing this. Over here, this is a dev plan environment, in fact, that I'm using this. When they create the labs, they make it work in dev plan mode. They can work without needing the full premium powers. You can work with this.
Oh, he was he was also asking about the individual app, like you just created one, but that's more for a personal solution.
Yes. So, but then I did it over here. Oh yes. So this is important. Use your dev plan wherever possible, if you have it. All right. You can go ahead and pick the default environment. Try not to do that if you can.
So
but if
I'm
your governance
going
is
to-
right, do it local.
Yeah. So to answer Fernando's question, what Ralph did was just kind of create one on the fly using a connector. It depends on what you're doing, but it's a starting point, right? That's not a full-on solution, but he could have went to where there were example apps and built those, and those have more, what do you call it? Full-on solutions. So there are examples of that, or templates that people have created. He's just doing a get started fast right now.
Right. And
I put the link into the Power Platform sample from the PMP thing. Ralph talks about those a lot on his calls.
Yes.
Those are full-on solutions too.
Right. So just like this, for example, I'd go import it'll give you a solution. You import a solution. So let's go and I'll browse, and you basically look for a zip file that's a solution already. In fact, I might have some ready to go over here. In fact, here's one for speaker cards. I think that's the one. Let's go find out. See if that works. Let's go next. Let's go process. This is actually a good demo because this is if you go to the sample sites from our friend Rory, his group, there's a whole bunch of zips you can get from there. The PNP sample site, any of these you can go ahead and bring in as is. Let's see. And of course, if there's an issue, it'll tell you right now. Sometimes they're old, expired. You see this over here? Sometimes you'll get these. They're old and they're ancient. In this particular case, because I happen to pick an old and ancient one. Let me pick something a little bit newer. Earlier, see, that was earlier this year. So yeah, obviously that's ancient. Let's see. No, these are not the zip files for that. Let's try device order. There we go. This is what should happen, right? You bring it in unmanaged. That way you can mess with it and muck with it, right? Or you bring it in managed and show what it looks like when it's all locked down. Advanced settings, enable the plugins. That's about it. Let's go to next. And you'll notice it'll say what updates are needed for connections and import, and boom. That's how you would bring those in. And you will now have a starting point that's got all the pieces that you need straight up. Now it's a little bit easier in it's strange, oddly enough, it's a little bit easier in Power Automate. Let me go there. It's always good to compelling when you go to Power Automate and you'll show folks that you have templates, massive amounts of templates for all different ways. You almost have to just simply search and say, I want to do something. Look, what would you like to automate? Quickly choose a task or search. Let's go to templates right over here. So search templates. So I want to, what do I want to do? I want to do Outlook approval. Let's go see. Look, there's some samples right off the bat. All right. Maybe somebody says, well, we got SQL sync or something. Let's see what comes up when I search. And look, oh, there we go. There's some choices. Gives you a starting point and all the pieces. The idea is pick one that like you can do quickly on yours and then just follow through, just like I did to create the app in 2 seconds flat. So let's go ahead and do save office attachments right over here, just an example. Look how fast this goes. Boop, 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 boop. And there we go. And so, oh, look at this. I got to sign in. It might ask me for my MFA. No, it didn't. Thank you. And now create the flow. Let's go. Make the flow. There's my flow. Okay, it's all ready to go. I got the flow checker and everything else. Go to edit mode. Show your flow. Demonstrate your flow. 1 second. Here we go. There's demonstrate the flow attached to the email and all that stuff. And of course, there's the test the flow and everything else. How long did that take me to do there, Craig, to get to this point from the just clicking on that? And I already have a save office attachments to OneDrive. That was something that people do quite a bit.
Yeah, no, relatively quickly.
That was,
and I always recommend
fast.
Giving them better names than what you click on, because they will give you the default name.
Yes, so that was the part. It's like, well, here's the thing, and Microsoft's giving you these names, but remember, you want to make it your own. Never stay at the starter. Give them better names, more descriptive names, and everything else. In some cases, well, why doesn't Microsoft just give you descriptive names? So, well, here's the thing. It's almost like saying, how can we tell that you touched this? It's because you did the obvious and you changed the name. You know, you ever do that one? It's like, you know, I state your name. You know, it's like, no, you're supposed to state your name, right? That's the point, right? They're giving you the template. Fill in the blanks. Get it filled in, right? So you can do the same thing with PVA potentially. I don't know if I have a good PVA example. I'm not sure if my connector works. I'd have to hand you over to Craig to do a PVA quickie. How fast can you make a PVA piece? Unless you have a PVA ready to go. I think my trial is out. The problem with like this, of course, when you're doing PVAs,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
the trial.
That's gone.
Yeah. So, but I think though you can make it quickly now with Teams, right? You can go in a Teams context and it'll work regardless. You don't need the license anymore. Let me go find out. Power.
If anybody used the Power Apps Studio for Windows, I have not. So
Let me go see if I can go find. Let me go to office.com again. Let me go look for. Let me go search.
And is Power Apps Studio for Windows still a thing? I thought they discontinued that.
It's a good question. Maybe not virtual. I'm trying to find the app. Was there an app? Or is it just built as part of PowerMax? Because this is what they did move this, right? I thought they moved it. So we go here. We go to AI.
And there you have to search for it.
So of course there's the modeling and the AI builder. That's all there. That's actually if you have time you want to get through. Here we go. This is the chatbots. There we go. A quick create. So here's a chatbot. Whoop, click create. Where's it take you? All right, get started. Aha, that's how you get there. This is a cheese that's moved. If you haven't seen this recently, even I forgot where it was. There we go. Here we go. Name your bot. CMPPUG bot. What language does your bot speak? He speaks the language of bot. Hey, maybe you speak Italian. Okay. Maybe. Preview. Is there a language called preview? Oh, no, digital preview languages. That's right. Hold on a second. Let's just do English for now. There we go. That's in my environment, which means you don't need a license because this is my dev plan environment. Working on it. There's baby Skynet being born. Okay, I can explore the bot. Here's my bot, ready to go. Oh my gosh, that's fast. I got here, but of course there's nothing going on with this particular bot. I just basically have to just follow through. So you just follow through the steps as you're happening. And what I've just proven is it looks like you can actually demonstrate PVA without having the PVA $1,000 or $500 a month license. Just simply put it in your dev plan tenant to make it work. And that's assuming that's your focus to do it. But it's pretty quick to go through it. Essentially starting the conversation. Well, let's put in a message. Well. Check it out. It's working already. Hey, I just said hello and it's already working? What? Craig, what's going on here? Did you build this ahead of me?
No, it starts out.
Are you there behind the curtain there running this?
Yes.
This platform?
No, it's really easy to build a chatbot.
Sometimes it's a little ridiculous. So you want to make a little bit of a compelling piece, but that was, I mean, even that by itself, the fact that all I did was I literally opened it from the scratch and I said hello and poof, there it went. Oh, and there goes baby Skynet and saying, hey, what happened? Hello again. Here we go. He told me to say hello. Let me see. Aha, no, you didn't know all that. I guess we have to teach Spanish.
So you have to blow it up a little bit, and then you get in there and you can add
this is true.
Topics. So then those are your questions, and then basically it's just
it does not no entender. It does not understand yet Spanish. But I could have said Spanish, and I bet it works.
I've seen a lot of so frequently asked questions. Load those into a bot.
I
So
like
you
this.
can scrape like a website of frequently asked questions, and then so just copy it and paste
Yes.
it, and then it'll figure out what the topic should be and what the questions and the answers are.
I think we should have one day a PVA review again. It's been a while since we did the PVA thing. We should do it again.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I like Fernando. Is giving us an idea on what we can do for that PVA thing. When you do policies and procedures are a good business case for bots. Absolutely. It's like
I believe United has a bot where, or I know I've seen it. I can't remember it's United, but I think it's United. Like it'll ask you about your flight, what your flight number is, and then it runs a Power Automate in the background to get it to see if it's on time or those kind of things.
Right. So like in this case, he was talking about like business procedures. So can you have a bot like, well, hey, just ask the bot. It's like, hey, am I allowed to like book this travel? Well, why don't you ask the bot? Hey, hello bot. Can I, in this particular, I don't even have to say hello bot because it's already in there. Just to say, may I travel to Chicago? And all of a sudden the bot will have that answer for you in however method you say it. That's an example of business procedures travel.
Microsoft would like is that you have it paired up with Dynamics 365 customer support module, customer service module. So you ask a question that didn't know the answer, they could transfer you over to a support person.
Oh, speaking of Dynamics of the Dynamics 365, or in this particular case, the Dataverse piece, the data piece underneath. In a lot of these cases, in your toy environment, your dev plan, you get Dynamics. You get the Dataverse piece complete. I usually load it with all the sample data, like accounts and all that stuff, because this is compelling also to show how fast Dataverse works. If you have the case where people are preferring SQL over this, and a lot of the cases, the issue is because they're familiar with SQL and they're not feeling okay about Dataverse. How do you change that perception? The way you change that perception is to show them yourself for your own use why it's better or why it can work. Here's the thing. If you go premium, you're premium, right? Think about it. It's like, oh, well, the Dataverse, that's premium. Yeah, well, you're using SQL. Yeah, that's premium too. Well, you've already opened the door for SQL, which means I can do Dataverse or anything else that's got the diamond in it because I've already gotten the premium license. You paid for it, might as well use it. Make sense? All right, what do we got here? Yes. This is my favorite. The Lumonat. Yes, the pizza. Okay, well now we're talking pizza. We should do.
Fernando was asking about New York or Chicago style pizza. I don't know why, but
so Lumonatis, they ship all over the country. This is my high recommendation. This is the pizza of our choice at this place. Well, people have choices over here. You will have different opinions here in Chicago, but loose.
My favorite restaurant to go for kind of pizza is Chicago Pizza and Oven Grinders.
Oh yes, that's a nice place to go to because
you get pizza pot pies there, and they got really good salads and stuff.
And atmosphere.
But it is a very small place in the bottom of a building. It's kind of like hidden.
It's like remember the original Billy Goats. You for the folks that know the Billy Goats. Now we're dating ourselves. Back in Saturday Night Live, the ones that hamburger, cheeseburger. That guy. That was the Billy Goats, named after a famous divey institution here in Chicago that would make these very compelling and great tasting burgers and a few other things that are out there. And that's the idea. They're underneath Michigan Avenue, actually, in the corner, and all the Second City people used to go. The original. They're all over. They're in quite a few places now, but that's the idea. Sometimes it's that atmosphere that you're looking for. I guess the Blade Runner-y, what's it? The film noir sort of feeling. It's like it was a dark, sultry pizza night. Yes.
All right,
turn us to black and white.
6:53. We need to move on.
Yes, we're done actually here. We're ready for open questions on what you can do to make your org love your Power Platform. Is there any things that you might like to know, or maybe you've had an objection that they came up and said you can't have nice things because blah. Maybe we have a line that you could probably follow that might overcome said objection. Or maybe you just want a licensing question because Ralph is here. Questions? Or we've answered all your questions because, oh my gosh, we're overwhelmed, Ralph.
Now I'm just putting food stuff in the chat.
Yes.
I don't have any questions, but thanks, Ralph. Good presentation.
Oh, okay, you're most welcome. Essentially we were playing with our toys presentation here today is what this is all about. We may have known this already, but it's really cool sometimes just to play. We don't get to play too much, especially when we're if after you build an app or get something done and you're just managing it, it's like be nice if you're just doing this day. I envy those folks that still have a chance to do it day by day, night by night.
I'm scrolling through. Fernando, did we answer all of your questions and comments? I know you had a couple, and Naveen had a couple. I think I tried to answer.
Let's go back and see. Scrolly scroll. Teams for the win. I like the the suspense of what the question is going to be. And then let you know, then all of a sudden it goes away and you're like, oh, exactly like that. It's like, what's that feeling? That's like, that's definitely 2022 sort of feeling when you're in the pandemic and you go into your text message, right? And then you see like the person you're texting and then it's like ... like they're typing and then nothing happens. And it's like, oh, that your sinking emotional feeling that comes in there knows that you've been too much remote for too long.
I need a couple comments.
Yes. Let's go.
One, for example, is in a big manufacturing automotive company in Mexico, Toluca. I asked the manager, when could we have a meeting with the group to find efficiencies in the process that they follow and maybe automate tasks. They never gave 1 minute to this. They were too busy.
Oh dear. Even though they have it, right? They're in M365 tenants.
They were working mostly in logistics with SAP. They were just typing transactions after transactions. Period. They didn't have the time. But another comment is another client, that was not my client.
Yes.
One client showed me a manual process where they use Excel to control returns of bad product from customers. They use that Excel to control it and report to management and go back to the customer. They showed me the process, sent me the Excel file, and then I prepared a solution in a demo. They didn't want to pay me. They continue with their Excel.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a tough one. It's like in the case of like it doesn't matter how easy or how cheap it looks like you're doing it, we still don't like it because it's not what we were doing. That's the hard one to overcome. They're fixed into a particular way because they're used to it, and then to give that up is tiny. So some of the ways that we overcome that is to try something small. It's like, okay, well, let's take something that you're not necessarily doing, something a little bit smaller over here, and let's just do that one thing. Is there something in there that you are doing that's not that process, but you're doing over and over, just to get the just to play, right? And it's not going to cost you. Just give them that focus. And it could be, again, like you saw, saving attachments from Outlook or something like that. Give them something else. When they start feeling it in the different area, they're not going to feel as well directly addressed for that. So it might be the way to get around that. And that's one. The other one, of course, is to actually do it. But then that's really in their face, like, well, you see that? I did what you did in 2 seconds. It's a tough one. Getting the IT or getting the other one, of course, if it's a large enough organization, is to try to figure out who the Microsoft folks are involved there, because chances are Microsoft folks are looking at all companies in the area and have a plan. The plan is, of course, adoption. They would like to get it. If there's like 600, 700 more seats of E3, something going on, it's in their plan somewhere. And then saying, hey, would you like someone to help you in your plan and getting this out? It usually means Microsoft coming in to offer something for free. There's funding plans for those app in a days that you saw and everything else. Those are things that Microsoft will fund with partners and even with even directly in some places. And I know they do this in Mexico as well.
Yeah, if your customer is big enough, they probably have an account manager who would be more than happy to help you out.
Yes, especially for those like like the app in a days and everything else, and because they make it fun. Sometimes they'll bring prizes, gifts, and everything else. Even though they're small, they're not going to give a lot. They're small, but sometimes that's all it takes. It's the little things that counts. There, you know what? We should talk about this one feature though. One of these days, the process advisor. This is undergoing some changes right now, but this concept of the process advisor is you take people who do work every day, you give them this access, and they just do what they do. Hey, what do you do? Well, I open up the Excel file, I copy this from this file to this file, I go to my mail, I touch this, I go to this legacy application and play, and I copy this information and I send this address, and it records their process. You do it to several people in the area, and it comes back and it analyzes and tells you what kind of app you may have to build to make it happen. Wow. That's like instead of you having a consultant company to figure out. Very cool. Unfortunately, it needs a premium license to use it while it's using it, but it's cheaper than getting an entire consulting group to do the focus study on people.
We also need to cover using the monitoring feature to troubleshoot.
Yes, that this is almost its own subject too.
That is what I'm talking about.
Right. Troubleshooting. We should have a troubleshooting day or workshop.
Well, I was thinking inside of a Power App.
Within a. Oh, you mean instead of just this kind of monitoring? Yes, that's true.
Because people ask me about that and I forget about it all the time.
That's true. Your apps can actually build your app to actually monitor itself. Why not? That's actually a good idea.
If I was better, I could, Ralph. I'm not as good as you.
Well, actually, we're going to go find somebody who's done it, and we're going to just leverage their sample. You know who you are. Yeah, I wouldn't build that from scratch. That's for sure. All right. Any more items that are out there? Any more? Oh, yeah. So Fernando had a good one, though, on trying to, how do you get folks that are just really set in their ways? Again, sometimes you have to well, I'm not going to change your ways, but here's a way that's something separate that you might like to use for yourself.
And not going to lie to you, Fernando, that's one of the biggest struggles that we have with all our customers, right?
The biggest battle.
That they didn't want to even spend time to tell me what they do, because I know they did some downloading to Excel and charts and things.
Oh boy.
And then I prepared a Power BI report, and I told them, this is an example. What else do you do? Tell me. I don't know what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find out if we can automate it. No, they were too busy.
Yeah, They for them to just give up their use cases again. Like the idea is like, well, here's something that I do all the time. If it's similar, if you can find some similarity, I know you're downloading this. Well, here's what I do with my downloads. This is just what I do. You might like it. I don't know. And then after a while, after a point, they're going to be like, well, I'm getting so busy doing what I'm doing, or mistakes or something else. So at some point, someone's going to say, we just can't keep doing it this way. We have to change. Or make other people start doing it. So then they become the minority of the people who are not doing it. Grassroots. That's what we're trying to do in Texas. Creating more of us.
All right. I am going to stop the recording right now. I think that we've covered everything. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you,
who are
Ralph.
here.
Thank you.
Fernando and Ed still there. Naveen and I believe
Hey, you guys stuck it out through the end, boy.
yes,
Yep.
he'll be on the. And Gary cut out, but
Yeah, Gary had to go, but at least everyone else stuck out. So this is really good. Thank you so much for being here.
if you want to watch it again, it'll be on our YouTube channel somewhere. We have one.
Right now, because it was streaming live, it's actually available. It's going to be available now, instant recording. In fact, Raquel, let's fade our way out to the closing, and that way there'll be a stopping point, and they won't hear us talk about it.